Diabetes and you feel alone? You are not alone. Medway and Swell Type 1 Support Group are here in conjunction with Medway NHS Foundation Trust and Diabetes UK. We offer emotional and practical support for children and their families. Call 01634 314 223 or search online Mid Kent Type 1 Support Group. You're not alone.
Okay, we're back very quickly. I did ask you, name the TV show Bubba O'Reilly was used as a theme for.
And I said I'd come back in 3 weeks and answer it, didn't I? That's my answer, Uncle Rob. I was so busy. Do you know that trailer that we've just played was produced by a friend of mine, a gentleman called Ken Murray, DB Songs. I just came to mind. Isn't it really strange all of a sudden?
It's strange. Yes, the TV show was CSI New York.
Well, you see, I don't have those posh channels and stuff. Was it on Channel 5?
Yeah.
Oh, right, well, I do have Channel 5. That's usually my cover-up. Usually I just say, I don't have Sky.
Right.
Rob's trumped me
We've
this
got a couple of minutes before the weather, before you do the weather.
Oh, right, okay.
Mr. Walworth.
So I can do a completely different take on it. I can say it's going to be fun, and sun. Is that all right?
Looking out the window, no. We have with us...
We have Colin Midgley. Colin has joined us in the studio this morning. Very good morning, Colin.
Very good morning, Keith. How you doing? Good morning, Robert.
Morning. Yes, that's why we played his radio ad.
Basically, on Sheppey FM, if you're new to us, you may not be aware that we have specific things that we ally to certain of our shows. This morning's show most often is dementia-inspired. The show I do on a Tuesday afternoon is to do with the Swell Stroke Support Group. Yep. And Tuesday morning show from now on, although there won't be a show tomorrow, just to cloud the issue, is dedicated to the Mid-Kent Type 1 Diabetes Support Group. And Colin's come along to tell us all about it today and to help us learn a lot more about Type 1 diabetes. Is that correct, Colin?
It is, yes. So, my family history of Type 1 diabetes is quite vast.
I'm going to jump in here because we've got about 2 minutes before the weather.
Yeah, we have to have the weather at a certain point. Do you know the computer takes over?
Yeah.
So terrible, isn't it? The computer runs everything.
You told us a little bit, and the worst thing is if we get into the important stuff and then we just say, could you hang on a minute? So it's
So we'll come to all of that a bit.
No problem.
Bit after the weather, we'll get that out of the way. So just some general things.
Yeah, Mid-Kent Type 1 Support Group is a parental support group that gives emotional and practical support for children and their families that live with Type 1 diabetes in particular. Type 1 diabetes normally affects the younger person in society, so from birth to, we cover to 18. So from birth to 18 is what we cover. Type 1 normally affects from birth to about 30, at the age of 30. And it's an autoimmune disease where the body attacks itself.
The one thing when I was looking into this before we did the programme today was there seemed to be in my mind a lot of media hype and other things about Type 2. There's a lot about that.
Absolutely.
And it's almost as though somehow there's a distraction about that. And when I knew you were coming on the programme, I thought, well, I must find out a little bit about Type 1. And as you said, it's autoimmune. They're different, aren't they?
They're completely different. Type 1 and Type 2 normally gets lumbered in with diabetes. There's Type 1, there's Type 2, there's Type 1.5, which is called LADA.
Halfway.
Halfway. And there's also gestational, so when a lady is pregnant, she's got all her hormones all raging.
It's very common.
It's a very, very common issue.
Pregnancy, diabetes.
And normally the lady, once she's given birth and everything's all settled down, your blood sugars normally return to normal.
Right. Oh, well, it's going to be an interesting hour coming up very soon. We're very close to the weather. Have we got some music before?
No.
We're not. We're going to actually talk up to the weather, which is interesting because usually we have the weather on the island is always like a kind of microclimate, Colin. So when we can read out what London and the South East is doing, and then we look at it ourselves and go, actually, do you know, it's not doing that and stuff. And when you come over the bridge, when you come here, are you from the Medway area yourself? Or?
Yes, from Rainham, just behind the M2 services.
Okay. So you came in over the bridge today then?
Well, we certainly did.
So,
the bridge gets confused between the speed limits. I thought it was they're raising the speed limit, but no, it's still the same. So
It's
It's going to revert to 70 miles an hour, but apparently there's some safety measures that they're going to introduce beforehand. So we'll update everybody as and when.
Okie dokie, it's now time.
Yes, indeed.
Okay, we're back.
Disco Duck, do you know that really takes me back and stuff like that? Was that always one of your favourites, Rob?
No.
This is the magic, you see. Well, Rob's... it's all spontaneous. There's no kind of pre-planned music choices. So it's just like all of a sudden and stuff like that. It's like a light bulb turned on, and then you look on the screen and go, what's coming up? Disco Duck. What is that? Anyway,
so you're not going to throw no surprises into me today?
No, Colin.
Oh,
no, not at all. So we got Colin.
Off you go.
All right.
Yep.
We've got Colin Midgley with us from Mid Kent Type 1 Diabetes Support. Do you want to go back and we'll rewind and start where you were going to tell us your family, the impact of diabetes, where this all began, Colin?
Yes, yeah. So, as I said, we're a support group in Medway and Swell. Anywhere that Medway Hospital covers, we cover. The reason why we felt the need to set up a support network group, I suppose for me, is a bit personal. In my family, we're a bit greedy, see, with type 1. We have 5 that are type 1 diabetic. And our fridge is, it was, they've all moved on now, but our fridge was packed solid with insulin. You wouldn't believe it. But they're all doing very well. My brother, he was diagnosed in 1997, aged 26. He had laryngitis. And I'll go on to explain in a little while about type 1 and what it actually is. But he had laryngitis and become very, very unwell. That quickly changed, I suppose, if that's the right word, into type 1 diabetic. He was taken into hospital. He was very, very close to not being very well at all, should we say. He has 4 children, and 3 of his 4 children are also diabetic, also type 1, with one of them being celiac disease as well. Right. So as I said, we are a bit greedy. We do like to just to have the whole lot. As if that wasn't enough, in 2014. Obviously, being a family with type 1 in the family, we knew what to look out for. And some of the symptoms of type 1 is extreme thirst, urinating all the time, being very tired and lethargic, and just a lack of concentration. And my daughter was giving all these symptoms out. So I phoned my brother up and I said, David, can I borrow your blood kit? And he said, well, what do you want that for? I said, well, so I'm a little bit concerned about Alina. Which is obviously my daughter. So we went, we met at a mutual location, borrowed his blood testing kit, tested her blood, and it came up as high. Again, I'll go on a little bit later on to talk about the numbers and the figures and what your blood should be and what have you. But her blood came up as high. Left it a little while, wash your hands, make sure your hands are nice and clean. And then tested it again, and it's high. She had ketones. So at that point, we as a family were quite concerned, and we knew that she was type 1 diabetic. So it was unfortunately straight off down to the Medway Hospital, because it is a fatal condition. Off down to Medway Hospital. Now, I've got to give them their due. Medway Hospital, everybody slaters Medway Hospital, unfortunately. But when you're sitting there with, dare I say it, a condition, a cold or something like this, we all know what A&E get filled up with sometimes. Then obviously they take their time and they prioritise people. I explained to them at the desk about my daughter and our family connection with type 1. And my daughter was standing at the desk drinking like a fish, completely drinking all the time, which is one of the signs. Yeah. And then she said, the lady said, go and take a seat. And we hadn't even sat down when they called us through to triage, done all the tests they had to do. And then she was straight away through to resus and put on drips and what have you. So that's the personal background as to why I felt that we needed some sort of support, because when we looked for support out there, it's okay during the daytime because there's people about, if you need help, you phone the hospital up, or you can, there's always someone about. And it took myself, even though I've got a massive family link, it took myself to go onto Facebook. Now, there's nothing wrong with Facebook in the slightest, but there's nothing more better than face-to-face communication, because you can see the reaction of people and you can get more detail when you're talking to somebody face-to-face. As I said, we looked for support out there, physical support, and there was nothing at all. Not in Medway or Swale. And we muddled through, we done it.
Do you have any idea of the numbers involved in terms of, like, in our area, the area you're covering, Colin, like how many young people are thought to be currently affected?
Okay, so yes. So as from January, so this month, 2017, in Medway, we have 227 people, young children, between the ages of 0 and 18, that are affected by type 1 diabetes. That doesn't incorporate the family. So if you incorporate the family as well, because it is a condition that affects the whole family unit. And yes, so there's 227 families currently at the moment that have got type 1 diabetes, which Medway Hospital can only do so much, let's be honest. And that's why we have, again, we have set up this type 1 support group for children and their families. And it's very hard work.
Is there a specific thing, because you mentioned about how different people are affected at different ages, in the people under 18, have they identified something that triggers something? Because presumably you're born with, isn't this, you mentioned the autoimmune disease, and it's attacking itself, isn't it?
That's right. So type 1 diabetes is as you correctly said, it's an autoimmune disease. It's where the body attacks itself. So the body, in this case, will see the pancreas as a germ, an issue. So the body will attack that, and it will kill off the beta cells. The beta cells obviously produce the hormone insulin, and once they're killed off, that's when the child, in this case, becomes severely unwell, because the child is eating, absorbing the glucose into the bloodstream, but there's nothing then to break down that glucose into energy. It's like a key, if you like. The key is missing to unlock that glucose from the blood supply. Blood supply. So very much like you would get thyroidism, or you would get something like celiac disease, as I mentioned earlier, Graves' disease. These are all autoimmune conditions. Inflammatory bowel disease, multiple sclerosis, psoriasis, rheumatoid arthritis. There's many of them, many different autoimmune conditions.
So would it be like a virus or something? If somebody had come through the first 5 years of their life, they would have been born with it, but it hadn't actually.
No. It's where it's where the body sees the pancreas as an issue. You are quite right when you say that it is triggered off by something. So the body has I don't know. With my brother, it was laryngitis. The only thing we can link it with my daughter is she had a bunion on her foot, and it was giving her some bother. So she went down to the doctors, and the doctor gave her some antibiotics. And I don't know if that's coincidental or what, and there's no hard fact as to why. But it does seem to be, in most people, there is a condition to build up to type 1. But you're not born with type 1 diabetes, not per se.
Right, so from when a baby first appears, they're not, from the very beginning, they don't have to be treated for diabetes then? Not for type 1 diabetes, no. There is conditions out there, obviously, which do give off the same generic look as type 1 diabetes, but no, you're not generally born with type 1. Okay, well, we're down on the thing to take a coffee break for a minute or two. Is there anything, Rob, that we want to do before that? Or?
No, we'll have the coffee break, and we'll play the Rembrandts. I'll Be There For You, which is what you requested, and then we'll be back after that for some more diabetes. Okay, and we're back. There we go, the Rembrandts, I'll Be There For You.
Friends.
From the Friend film. Put my teeth in.
It's
from
Monday morning.
Yeah.
Reseat the teeth.
Picked by Colin because we're there for people with diabetes this morning.
Absolutely.
It's a subject really that probably affects a lot more people than people necessarily realise. As you were mentioning family, and also because it's growing, isn't it? The number of people being affected. I know that like type 2, the lifestyle one, the media like to talk about that probably every day in some way or another.
Absolutely.
But the obviously type 1, which isn't a lifestyle thing, Colin, is that growing as well in the same kind of way?
It is. So the amount of people that are being diagnosed with type 1 is on the increase. Ask me why. No, I can't give you the answer. From what I believe, from research that's been provided, there's no rhyme or reason. They haven't bottomed out yet why the numbers are on the increase. But as you rightly said, type 1 and type 2 are differently related. So, type 2 is on the increase also, but unfortunately that's lifestyle related. If I was going to get diabetes, I'd probably get type 2.
Yes, I think it's got quite a big shout out really in saying as the size of the population is growing, literally in their physical form, then the amount of diabetes type 2 is also growing. They're tracking each other in a way, aren't they? Or the possibility of getting type 2 is growing in that way, because I don't know. There are certain things, when Rob and I talk about different things, when we talk a lot about dementia, when I was little, and I grew up in the very early 60s, dementia was never talked about at all. And the thing about diabetes when I was little, I don't really remember much about the type 2. I do think there may have been someone who I knew of who was type 1, but that was about it, whereas today it's much more talked about. I don't know if it's just a question of that people do talk about medical issues a lot more than they used to.
Well, I think they do. I think people just talk generally about medical problems more so. And obviously with streaming media like we've got now, 24/7, it's just out there in the public domain a lot more. With regards to type 2, 90% of the population in the UK that are affected with diabetes are type 2,
Yes.
with 10% being the type 1. And type 2, as we said, is generally lifestyle related. We don't touch type 2 in our group, but there is also a type 2 support group in Medway, which is for adults, which are there for support as well. If anybody needs any details of that, they can always get in touch with us and we can forward them on. But yes. So,
Now, Colin, you mentioned about the fact that obviously your particular venture is it launched last year, so we're now New Year goals. What are your kind of goals and objectives, if you like, for your first year?
well, for the first year, we wanted to get established. There's nothing worse than setting up a support network group for it to fall flat on its face. So I believe very, very firmly that that the roots, if you like, are the most important thing. So we spent last year setting up the group, making sure that the foundations are nice and firm, and that we've got a base to work from. As I said, when my daughter was diagnosed, there was no one out there for support.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why myself and a group of other people, parents of children with type 1, decided that, come on, look, we need to get some here, because it's such an unpredictable condition. The condition itself is just so unpredictable.
What's it like in the schools? You mentioned about the thing of Medway Hospital and their very fast reaction when you first went there with your daughter. In the education environment, obviously school days about, I think, from like 8:30 to 3:30, something like that. So it's quite a few hours, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And stuff like that. I mean, is that something that you've found? What education, if you like, is there amongst the educators? Are they well aware to know what to look for?
That's an extremely good question. I'll answer it very, very carefully. Within the education sector, you've got to keep in mind, in a school has got, I don't know, a large amount of young people. With type 1 diabetics, you've got to be so careful. And the Diabetes UK do actually do a hand pack for schools. But from my personal opinion, the educational sector are not very good with dealing with type 1. There's so much that needs to be put in place for your child to attend school, and so many care plans that need to be wrote out, and meetings, and safeguards. Because if your child is in that school and your child doesn't test, or the care plan isn't followed for the child to be tested at a certain time, or before dinner, before they go for lunch, whatever, and that child falls down, that can be a huge issue. If they go into a hypoglycemic attack, a hypo, which is anything below 4, the child's got a very high risk of falling on the floor and having a seizure at any moment. So I do sympathise with the educational sector, the schools, the teachers, but it's you're entrusting your young child in that school, for that school to look after them. It is a huge discussion that we as a group have still got to have with schools in Medway. And if anybody's in that situation where they're taking their child to school and certain things are not being followed through, then please get in touch. We're here to support and to help to work out care plans and such like. We had just an issue actually going on that with exams. With exams, when your young child goes in to do an exam, they're not going to take nothing in with them, obviously. When you're type 1 diabetic, you have to. It's absolute vital that you take in everywhere you go, you take your blood glucose monitor and you test, and you take Lucozade or whatever you use to hypotreat. So if you, as I said, if you go low and you don't treat, then you will come a cropper.
Right, Colin, we've got some messages to play and some music and things, and we'll come right back.
Lovely.
Okay.
Back.
Yes.
We're back.
At you.
We're back on the very important subject of diabetes, particularly type 1 is the main thing that we're covering today, and new to us and relatively new to the whole of Mid-Kent, the type 1 diabetes support group. With us today is Colin Midgley, and Colin, timetable schedules and things like that. Are there specifics in terms of like the type 1 diabetics day? While we were listening to the Bee Gees, we were talking about like night times as well as daytimes, and also about specific ways of monitoring. Can you like talk about how things might change over the course of the day, and whether nighttime it's great, it's finished, you're just lying down? How does it work?
We wish. So type 1 diabetes is a very unforgiving condition. And there's no break, there's no holiday. You go away on holiday, you can't leave type 1 diabetes in a suitcase. Christmas Day, you can't leave type 1 diabetes on the dinner table. But nor should you let it control what you do for your life. You have to live with it. You can't ignore it. If you ignore it, it will bite you on the backside. But you do have to monitor it very closely. We were saying about schools and such like. When your child's at school, you have to monitor it. There's no buts about it. So yes, a typical day for me. Keeping in mind, my daughter, dare I say it, is 19.
Okay.
But she's only been diagnosed 2 years. So we're still very new to it in my immediate family, my wife, myself, and my daughter. So I get up at 5:30 in the morning.
Right.
When it's all dark out there and it's all frosty, which isn't no isn't no mean feat. And I check her blood sugar, we're looking for a blood glucose level of between 4 and 7, ideally. That's where the ideal blood sugar glucose for a non-diabetic will be, with a bit of luck. But when you check my daughter's, generally in the morning. This morning she was 12.5, I think.
Right. So it's gone up a lot.
It will go up through the night because your hormones and are raging and what have you. So then you're correct. And you're all right then for an hour or so, but then you have to check before breakfast, because they're going to eat breakfast. You need to know what your blood glucose is doing before you have breakfast to know how much insulin to give. My daughter is on multiple daily injections, so we call it MDI. So she'll work out a carbohydrate for that particular meal, breakfast, cereal, toast, whatever that she's having. She'll work that out, and then she'll give herself the insulin accordingly. Again, she'll be fine. She'll go off to do whatever she's doing. She's working at the moment, so that's all good. But then she has to continuously check through the day because your blood glucose changes for no reason.
You talked about a device which automatically brought the word smart meter to my mind, thinking that it was something that you didn't. The only thing I had ever come across, because there is diabetes in my family, was like the strips of paper that you put the blood on. You mentioned a device that can actually be attached to the body that you can get information from. Can you tell us about that?
Well, yes, absolutely. So, the form of testing that's currently available on the NHS is a finger prick test. So it's you test you draw a little bit of blood from your fingertip. You offer that finger up to a glucose monitor, and then that will tell you what your blood value is for that specific moment. That only tells you at that specific moment what it is. There's obviously technology now has come on so far, thankfully, but generally it's not available on the NHS. So all the technology is coming out, but unless you're relatively well off, shall we say, then you get left behind and technology passes you by. But there is different devices now called CGMs,
right,
which is continuously glucose monitors.
Right.
It's the one that I'm talking about at the moment is a Freestyle Libre sensor. It sits on the arm, and it continuously monitors for 8 hours what your blood's doing.
Right.
It's an amazing product. Different people have got different opinions of its reliability, but generally it's around about 95% reliable, and that will tell you what your blood's done for a length of time. It will remove the need to test your finger, to prick your finger and test your blood, unless the trend that you're seeing on the continuous glucose monitor reader is either up or down. So it depends where the trend's going as to whether or not you need to test on the finger. And that gives you some reassurance because, as I said, everything affects type 1. It's an awful condition. And there's no way of knowing or being absolutely certain what is, what each event is going to, how it's going to affect it. We've got things from hormones, and of course, when you've got in this case, a young lady, and they're becoming of age, and their hormones are raging around their body. Stress, if you're at school and you're stressed, activities such as your PE at school,
yes,
they're delayed. This is a delayed. So if you're running around at school and what have you, then you've got a big chance of your blood glucose dropping down later in the evening. Again, you need to continuously test your blood. Climate change. I mean, really?
Climate change. I would never have guessed of that. Presumably that's to do with the amount you perspire.
Well, yes. If it's hot, if it's very cold, it's absolutely crazy. Emotions. With the older teenagers, I mean, we all like experimenting, don't we? With alcohol, alcohol is okay. If you're diabetic, you can still drink your alcohol as a young, as a teenager. But you have to take precautions, because when you drink, your blood sugar will go up, but it will drop down faster. So when you go to sleep at night after you've had a skinful, your risk of going into hypoglycemic attack in your sleep, which is extremely dangerous. What the doctors and nurses recommend, because everybody is going to drink at some stage, is if you're going out for a night out with your friends, is to have something to eat when you come in. So you've covered yourself, so you're not going to drop dangerously low. The fat content within food, again, has an effect on what your blood glucose does through after that meal. If you have a pizza, as some young children do, pizza is very fatty, isn't it? You know, the pizza base, and so you're insulin for that pizza all at once, thinking, I've had a meal, there you go. But the pizza itself won't break down in the human body for X amount of hours after.
Right.
But your insulin that you've had is working. But it's got nothing to work with because the pizza hasn't started to break down.
Colin, this is a really complex one. We're going to have to just break for some community messages and community news, and then we'll come. That's a very good phrase, that one, isn't it, from the archives and stuff like that.
And we're back with Colin from the Type 1 Diabetes Support Group from Medway and Swale.
And Colin, this coming Sunday, the 5th of February, you've got a Fun Day Sunday.
Absolutely, Fun Day Sunday. So, yes, when you are, again, you know, you've got diabetes, you've got type 1 diabetes, it's very, very lonely. And what we found is most children that have this feel isolated. They've got something that people wouldn't understand. You know, they can't talk to their peers, their direct peers, about this issue because you wouldn't understand it. You know, I mean, today has been great, but we've only just touched the surface of it. So we wanted to do something that would, for the children in Medway and Swale that have diabetes and their families. We've done the coffee mornings and such like for the parents, so the parents can get together. But we wanted to incorporate the children and the parents. So yes, new for 2017.
So it's this Sunday. It's at the Pentagon Shopping Centre in Chatham.
It certainly is.
What exactly is happening? What?
Okay, so this Sunday at the Pentagon Shopping Centre, right next door to DNA Toys. So if you know the shopping centre at all, up the escalators to the left, I think. So to the left or to the right, but it's next door to DNA Toys.
Well, once you've been up the escalators, then you'll find your way.
You absolutely will.
Look for DNA Toys instead.
Yeah, it's right next door to DNA Toys. What have we got going on? We've got live entertainment for the children. We've got a magic show for the children to get the children nice and entertained. We'll have other things there for like, colouring, drawing, that sort of thing. We'll also have a buffet. Which is
You've thought of everything here, then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Will you be testing the blood before or after or during this event? Then?
Hey, listen.
Because
The children will
how
be
important they are.
Absolutely. The children will be with their parents. So the children and parents, no children on their own, obviously. I can sit back and relax. Obviously, overlooking and making sure everything's going as it should. But again, it's that necessity for children to mix with children that have got the same condition, and for the siblings to mix with other siblings of other families, because obviously the brothers and sisters have got deep feelings as well, not just for the brothers and sisters, not just for the parents, but also carers, grandparents, anyone that's got a connection with type 1 diabetes. Right. It would be good to be warned in advance if you're coming. You're more than welcome to come down, and we would love to see you, because, you know, our cliche, and one that I follow quite dearly, is, look, you're not alone. There is a very good in my opinion, support group. We're backed up by Medway NHS Foundation Trust. Dr. Williams, if you're type 1, you'll know of Dr. Williams. And also Diabetes UK. So we've got the backing of them. You know, so you're not alone. Come down, be with us. Any questions you've got, we'll try to answer. You've got other people that are in the same situation, other parents. Yeah, it'd be good to see you down there.
So it's kind of like a networking event for parents as well as the fun side of things for the children as well.
It is, yes. I mean, we wanted to make it fun for the children. Maybe just a little tiny escape, without feeling isolated. Because at school, you've got to, children maybe not feel comfortable injecting in front of other children, or, they might go off out the way or whatever you. So, you can be with other children that know how it is. So if your child is, you think your child can do with some peer-to-peer support from children that know how it is, or indeed you're a parent yourself could do with talking to someone for some tips and advice.
Right. Do you want to make this a regular feature month at the Pentagon, or are you going to move the venue, or is it like first Sunday of every month, or that type of thing?
Okay, so our current thinking is it's the first Sunday of every month, with live entertainment. It is proven a little bit difficult, I will say, to get people to give up their time to do entertaining for children. Unbelievably, but there you go. It's a different subject, isn't it?
Shall I drop someone in it live on air?
Rob, do what only Rob can do.
Have a chat with Mr. Kenton outside a bit later on.
Oh, you've put him in there, haven't you?
Yeah. Well, I know later on in the year the new album that he's doing is for ADHD, and I'm sure if you have a chat with him, he'll come and do a little bit of a gig there for you at some point.
Oh, that's lovely.
Well, he's certainly a person that's like he's got such a big commitment in terms of his support for the community
and the kids and that. He's really good.
Yeah.
So it's like definitely a good hot tip there from Uncle Rob.
I will also just say, I've got this great picture in my head now of this table laden with food. With this queue of all these people that are having their fingers pricked, getting their buzz done, then moving just a little conveyor belt line.
There will be. We have so far confirmed, I think it was 40 families confirmed so far to attend the event.
Cool.
So if you do come down to it, you're not going to be alone. But there will be plenty of food.
All I can say is that we're going to be going live on FM, we hope in April.
Congratulations.
And an aspect of Sheppey FM is we have something called a road show. Now it does get booked up a long way. It does get booked up a long way in advance. So I don't want to say, I don't think you'll be able to do it this Sunday, for an example. But that is something that we do, which goes into the community, and that's something that it would be nice to think that a Sunday this year, one of the first Sundays, you say, that if you talk with the management team and whatever, that it's something, put yourself forward for that, and then you can ask for the Sheppey FM Roadshow to come along.
Yes, yeah. I mean, anything that anybody can do to heighten the awareness of our group. There's only so much and so much money that we've got, so there's only so much that we can do to get the word of the group out. Anything that anybody else can do other and above that would be fantastic.
There is a little bit of a Cravat warning with the roadshow, because I know that's sort of like. Yeah, someone like Jamie, he'll get everybody up and going, but he's a bit mad.
And that's what you have to be,
Being mad,
If you're,
and if you put him and Mick together,
maybe you should get Ken Murray to do a gig as well for you as well.
Ken. There's a shout out for Ken. If you can stand up in front of children and make them laugh, then we want to hear from you, please.
Well, with your with the regular slot that you're going to have in terms of the program dedicated to you. Julie Nichols is our senior project person here, and she's our coordinator, if you like. And I understand from Julie that is your allocated slot that's going to be. There may be a regular thing that you can develop with the production people that present that program.
Sure.
That, like Rob and I are extending an invitation to have. We have a gentleman that suffers from vascular and Alzheimer's, and we are encouraging him to come along and share with us regularly, like his diary and stuff, on our program, maybe once a month, every 6 weeks, something like that. So it could be, Colin, that there's going to be that kind of relationship, and with obviously chatting with Judy and others that can be pursued for your time slot. So the station is very community focused. So I'm sure in whatever way we can aid and support, we will do our best.
That's fantastic. It would be nice to get a parent with a child in to talk about their personal effects.
We can always, because it was flitting through my mind, you can always do if they don't want to come in, because some people get a bit it's a studio and that, but if they record something on a CD or a memory stick, it can always be played out.
Yes,
and it can be
absolutely.
And if they want to come along,
if they want to come in,
because sometimes they can. And Ken himself has actually been here. I used to do a show on a Sunday. He came down one Sunday just to see that we really existed and stuff. So, but no, it is, because for some people, just as Rob says, there can be the thing of you see the microphone and all of a sudden you don't have a voice anymore. And
well, you're not that scary at the moment, so you're all right.
Well, you haven't seen us after 12 noon, have you?
Well,
once we go past the magic. Was it 12 noon or 12 midnight? I'm not really sure.
12 midnight, wasn't it? You're not talking about the old gremlins.
He's like a gremlin.
There
He changes.
Well, I actually morph into this walrus.
Well, no, I used to do like yourselves. I'm very very committed to the community. This isn't my first venture. I've worked with Haemophilia UK support groups for them, and also my latest one was the British Lung Foundation. So I've done plenty of support network type things in the past. But as we said at the beginning, it's all about the foundations of a group. So once you've got the foundations right, you can start building on that.
Excellent.
And I think that's where we are now.
Coming up to our weather time now, so we're going to have to pause once again.
Got a couple of about a minute yet.
We might even have a bit more music, but stay with us into the next hour.
Can you make the weather nice?
No.
We try our
Apparently,
best.
there's this special kind of feature, but I haven't found it yet. Rob won't show me where it is. You get all day sunshine. It goes rocking on sunshine, whoa! But I just can't find the
Katrina
feature.
and the waves.
So it's just not on our Jazzler, is it?
No. Right, we've got the weather now.
The weather's coming.
There we go. 2 local talent tracks there.
Variety is the spice of Monday.
The first song, Colin, by Abby Roberts, she was 12 years old when she recorded that.
Was she really?
Yep.
I don't think I've got a singing voice, so I can't.
And Vanity Fair, our very own Mark Elan.
When we first saw the Ashley's entry, we actually thought that someone had keyed the numbers in the wrong way round, and she was 21. But it had such a mature sound about it, didn't it? It was.
It's about 15 or 16 now. Apparently.
We've been joined today and having
we've tied them to the chair so we can't move.
over the last hour. Colin Midgley has joined us here on Sheppey FM, and we've been talking all about your support group, the Type 1 Diabetes Mid-Kent Support Group. Now I can see that you brought with you the T-sheet. We've been talking about food and Sundays and fun days, but I can see the T-sheet there that you brought with us. Colin, do you want to tell us all about the T-sheet?
T-sheet. Okay, it's a T-sheet. It's really a guide to look out for if you've got a child that you're concerned about. It's called the 4 T's. So the first, what I'm looking for, the first initial thing to look out for if your child's unwell is are they going to toilet a lot? Are they always on the toilet? Are they urinating themselves at night? It's something that happens. Are they thirsty? Are they drinking water like there's no tomorrow? But it's a thirst that you can't quench. Are they always tired? Are they drifting asleep at school? And and are they getting thin? So we've got toilet, thirst, tired, and thin. So, it's the 4 T's, and that's the first sign that there is an issue, maybe connected with type 1 diabetes. Right. It is vital. I can't stress how vital it is that if you do recognise any of them signs, that you take them to the doctors, you get them checked out. Because if they're not diagnosed early, then you could get other issues come on top of that, with very extended stays in hospitals, and that's, as a group, that's what we don't want. But if your child is unfortunately diagnosed, then we're here to support and help.
Right. Well, thank you very much for that.
You said, I'm not sure if you said on air, but definitely off air, by 30.
Yep.
It tends not to be an issue. You still got the type 1, but it's not.
Yes. So sorry. Yeah. Just to go over that. So from with type 1, you're generally diagnosed from birth until the age of about 30. Not to say that if you've got type 1 at 30, hey, it's not a problem no more. It's just that after you're 30, you generally don't get type 1 diabetes. If you've got it, you've got it. You can't get rid of it. It's always going to be with you. It's always going to be part of your life. But diagnosis of type 1 is generally from age 0, if you like, up to the age of 30. Not the condition itself. The condition itself will always be with you once you've got it. Just to make that absolutely clear.
So probably after 30, it's more type 2.
Yeah, generally after 30.
Middle age spreads hit and.
Absolutely. If I was going to get, unfortunately, if I was going to get diabetes now, it would probably be type 2 because I like my food just a little bit.
It's one of those things, isn't it? Colin, contact details. If people want to find out more, your website, your phone numbers, could you run those past us? Your contact details?
So Mid-Kent Type 1 Support Group, we have a support number. So if you're sitting there stressed and you're worried and things are not going right, you're working through all your blood glucose numbers, and you still can't get to grips with it, and you want just someone just on the end of the phone. We can't give out medical advice, of course we can't. We're not allowed to do that. But we are there on the end of the phone to listen. So we have a support line number. That's 07542 769 889. Our office number is 01634. It's 314223. Got some more details for you. Info at Mid-Kent Type 1 Support Group.co.uk, and of course the website is www.midkenttype1supportgroup.co.uk. So there's 4 ways of getting in touch with us there. I'm sure you'll find someone that's at the end of one of them, normally myself, but we have a very, very good group of committee members that are very, very dedicated. We do have children ourselves that have got type 1, so if we don't get straight back to you, don't stress, we will do. And of course we're on Facebook as well, and there's generally someone always on Facebook.
Okay, well, Colin, thank you very much for coming into Sheppey FM today and telling us all about your group. Very best of luck for your Fun Day Sunday at the Pentagon Centre in Chatham this Sunday, 12:30 onwards. And we look forward to welcoming you back at Sheppey FM again in the future.
Well, thank you very much for letting me highlight
I'm sure it'll probably be a Tuesday, because it's the Tuesday mid-morning show, isn't it? That's going to be the...
That's the show according to, as I say, our project manager that's been allocated. That type of issue is something that obviously Julie is the prime coordinator.
Sure. It would be great as the group develops more and more to look at getting a parent and child to do a bit about how they feel about type 1 diabetes.
That would be really interesting. That would be really good.
Well, discuss it with Julie while you're here today.
But you can always come back to us because we have an open door policy.
Robbie and Friends, be one of the friends
the
of Robbie and
hints in the
Friends.
title,
Robbie
and Friends.
We We'll reach out and
What I'll
include
do
whatever.
is, on the last thing, what I'll do is I'll leave some information here with yourselves on the front desk.
Thank you.
So if anybody's in
particularly
Swell,
that Fun Day thing, 'cause it's the first
the
Sunday
Fun Day
every
Sunday.
month,
There's
isn't
plenty of leaflets there and business cards and
Whoa.
whatnot else. So if you're in Swell and you want some more details about us, and want to pick up a couple of leaflets, then pop into the office here, and I'm sure
Collect
that,
them
that
from
these
us.
guys
Yeah.
help you out.
We should look forward to hopefully seeing you again ourselves in the future. Colin, very best of luck. And if it was a Carpenter's track next, we'd be playing You've Only Just Begun.
Thank you very much.
But it's not. It's the Water Boys, the Whole of the Moon.
Well, you know, I don't juggle the jazz though like you do, Rob.
Followed by Adam and the Ants.
Glucose,
Inside
aka
the
insulin,
Sheppey
cannula.
FM.
Check your blood
Mike Kent, Type 1 Support Group.
Has your child been diagnosed with type 1 diabetes and you feel alone? You are not alone. Medway and Swell Type 1 Support Group are here in conjunction with Medway NHS Foundation Trust and Diabetes UK. We offer emotional and practical support for children and their families. Call 01634 314 223 or search online Mid Kent Type 1 Support Group. You're not alone.